welcome to the Backyard Machine Shop. Well, I finally got some of the stuff picked up from the machine graveyard, and I'm sitting here and I hadn't even disconnected it from the truck yet. But this lathe was a lot heavier than I thought it was. I imagine it goes 6,000 pounds. I was thinking maybe three or four. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what's going on, show you some more details about it, and just update you on what's going on with it. So, like I said, I got the lathe home. They were about, I don't know, 30 miles from here, and I got off work early today and drove up there and picked them up. So I'm gonna bring you in close and show you some of the details of the lathe. All right, guys. So one of the things I wanted to show you when I got home, and you know how this stuff goes, I can't leave nothing alone. So I come home, I used a little scraper, and I scraped away some of the rust on the top of this thing. And then I took some navel jelly, rubbed it in, let it sit for about 15 minutes, and then took some Scotch-Brite and started working it. And used a little bit of PP Blaster as a lubricant. And you can see, I'll get you in close here, you can see that the ways they're a little pitted, but they'll come right back nicely. I mean, really and truly, it probably needs to be ground and re-scraped to be perfect, and we may do that according to how much money I have to do it, so, and how much interest there is in it. So I'm gonna pull you up a little closer and let you see the ways. Okay, I got you in handheld mode right now, and trying to get the focus in on there. It's starting to, sun's kind of in our face a little bit, so there's a little glare coming, but you can see there's a little pitting, but nothing real bad. I've seen some old South bends that never been sitting outside, look about like that. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem. The areas I'm worried about is gonna be right there where the tailstock's been sitting against the ways and places like that, where it'll hold a little more water and maybe work against each other. But other than that, I think it's gonna be all right. All right, guys. Well, you remember me telling you that when I first looked at the lathe, I'd played around with it and got some stuff working. So we got the lock for the tailstock working. We can unlock it, and the tailstock works really well. I mean, it needs to be lubricated, so it probably can get even better. But hey, everything that moves is a sign, and it's a plus sign. So tailstock looks to be okay. I've actually moved the screw for the compound. The crossfeed hadn't had so much luck with. I'm sure I'm gonna have to replace both of those though before it's all over with. All right, the next thing, check it out. It's a 28-inch swing on the lathe, and the chuck here is 22 inches. Okay, so, and I've been able to turn the spindle, so the spindle will turn, and all the chuck works still. It's not froze up. So I was thinking that all this would be froze up. I've been able to turn every one of the jaws. The only thing is, somebody drilled a hole in one jaw here to do something, probably to create a pin or to hold something in, and it's just about drilled through too close. So got to actually have the chuck key. Like I said, the chuck's 22 inches, and if you look at it, you can still see the divisions in it really well. I hadn't cleaned it up yet. Let's see if we can do something with that. All right, a little bit of PP Blaster. Now, I don't see where it won't clean up real well. Like I said, I've been able to turn it. It's more than I can turn by hand, but I can turn it with a cheater. So the spindle will move. Yeah, I got us on handheld here, and we're probably gonna have it on handheld for a minute because set up a tripod up here is gonna be kind of rough. anyway, you can see where I just cleaned up a little bit of that that chuck, and you can look and here, give you a look at the screw for the jaws. Okay, so everything looks to be in pretty good shape. Hopefully everything else will be that way. All right, so we're moving back to the back, and here's one of the things that looks promising to me that makes me think that we may be all right on everything. There's the grease fitting for the main bearings, for the journal bearings, or the spindle bearings, and it's still got wet grease coming out of them, and you can look, there's grease coming out around the bearing itself. And if you move back to the back of the lathe a little bit, if you move back to the back of the lathe and you look down in there, and I can't really show you, but there's still grease. The whole bottom's still covered in grease, so that tells me that everything is not rusted up real bad. If you look up at the pillow blocks up top, they're looking pretty good too. Okay. All right, back over here at the screw, and you can see, like I said, the ways and all here are in pretty bad shape, and in here, but I mean they can be cleaned up. I'm sure we're gonna have to replace this screw. It's really not that bad though, if it hadn't been sitting for so long. It's gonna be hard to tell until we get it out. Let's work back to the back of the lathe. Again, the rear bearing here, it's still got some old dried grease sealing it up. It hadn't been washed away, and you can look and see that we got some wet grease still coming out of the seal. So, thinking that's going to be good. We got a cast iron pulley driving a wooden pulley. I'm sure the wooden pulley wasn't original, so we might have to find us a pulley for that. Okay. Here's a shift lever for gear set. There's a gear set, a reversing gear down in there, and I don't know if you can see it, but we'll see it later. But anyway, there's a reversing gear. Alright guys, so we're back over. Like I said, I'm still handheld because of just moving everything around and getting to it. This lathe does not have a lead screw for threading. So basically you have two clutches. One clutch is going to clutch and feed the cross feed, and the other clutch will clutch and feed the longitudinal feed. The rack still looks to be in good shape. If you look down there, there's a gear set that drives the carriage. Here at the shaper now, and again, I'm just giving you a quick review of what I've seen. There's a couple things that's already been able to do on the shaper. We've got the cross feed for the vise moving. The lock mechanism is free. Now I haven't been able to move this yet, but I have been able to adjust and move the lock mechanism there. The vise jaw will move. I actually had to move it to get a block of steel out of it that I was worried about coming out on the way home. All right. Now I've always wanted a shaper, and excuse me, I've always wanted it. Okay, now there's a couple of cool things about this old shaper. Now I've always wanted a shaper, and this one, I didn't never think that I'd get one this old. I mean, it's probably at the latest early 1900s, like 1905, but more than likely it's in the 1880s, 1890s. It's still got some pretty cool stuff with it. With your a lot of your decal or your badges are still on it. It's got the 4/8. It's an SC 4/8 Machine Company shaper. Like I said, it's got a little brass tag here, and I'm assuming that's either a level indicator or or the stroke or something. We'll have to figure that out. I've got a book order that may have some info on it. The handle here is, I hadn't tried to get it off. I tried it at the place and I couldn't budge it. Now it comes with a line shaft. It comes with a jack shaft right there. You know, it was set up to run with an electric motor, so that might be something we have to restore. There's some gems in here. There's a piece of tool steel. It's still got the piece that was the last job it did, and actually there was a piece of metal in the vise that was the last job this shaper did 30 years ago. But it came with a wrench, and as I was saying, it's working. It needs to be cleaned up. Sure, I'm gonna pull this off and we'll throw it in a vinegar bath and see what it'll do. Okay, the clapper is frozen up or either locked. I hadn't figured that out yet. It's froze up here, but this shaft here is free. And like I said, it's still got the oilers and things from it. So I'm pretty comfortable that when underneath here, we still gonna have a good steel, and we'll have to clean up a little bit on the outside. Okay, I want to bring you up here and show you on the inside of this thing. All right, guys. So here we are. We're looking inside the shaper, and as you can see, there's plenty of grease left in there that keeps everything protected. I don't foresee any problems really with this assembly here. So hopefully we can get it up and running. It's missing the little handle on the door, and you may even be able to restore that electrical box. Who knows? Everything else has got some rust on it. I think it's pretty easy to fix though. So not too concerned with it. It looks like they had painted the table at one point. So